Did you accomplish everything you wanted this year? Probably not. So that's why in today's episode, we're going to maximize your productivity, your efficiency, and your focus for the upcoming year so you can hit your big ass targets or your bets. Hello, and welcome to the Fast Forward Amy Show, the show where we lift your life and business with simple strategies. I'm Fast Forward Amy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode every Tuesday. Merry Christmas and an almost Happy New Year. But this week it's almost Christmas. I'm recording this a little bit in advance, but we decorated the entire set. If you're listening instead of watching, I would say definitely come and check this out on YouTube because it's worth it. We even have a tiny wine glass. Wait, where's the tiny wine glass? The tiny wine glass is dangling from the ceiling almost. It's a jolly good time here in the studio at the Fast Forward Amy Show. Now, it is the end of the year, and that means that we are probably running around, still buying gifts, stressing out. You probably still have a ton of unfinished business to do, and you feel bad and stressed the fuck out. I know I used to be like that at the end of the year, and I would lie if I said that that doesn't still happen to me sometimes. Last year, around this time, I remember the day before Christmas Eve, I woke up at 5 a.m. and I worked for 12 hours straight until 5 p.m. No, it was actually the day of Christmas Eve. I was completely overwhelmed because I had no clarity. I felt like I was just always running after things. I had no overview of all the projects I was working on, and I felt really, really bad about it. But then that day, instead of just letting it pile up, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna work through it because I need to get this out of my system. And actually, that day changed a lot for me because that day I decided to create a dashboard of all of my projects to really get my shit together, to start working more, like looking towards the future. And it felt like one of those breakdown to breakthrough days where you go so deep that it's really good that you went that deep that one time, because that was a sign that you didn't want to do this again, ever again. And I hope to help you out with the same feelings today. This is episode 109, and that means you can find the written article of this through fastforwardamy.com/109. And today I want to wrap up your year together with you. Today I am your Christmas coach and I have 3 questions to ask you today. First up, if we look at wrapping up your past year before we look ahead towards a new year in these success series, because last week in the upcoming 2 weeks, I'm creating these success series where last week we talked about money habits. Today we're going to talk about time management habits. Next week it's more about your health and your New Year's resolutions. And after that, we are celebrating 2 years of the Fast Forward Amy Show and looking at your business habits for the upcoming year. So as I said, I have 3 questions for you. And my first question, looking back on the previous year, I want to ask you, what went well? These are, by the way, just the same questions we use in our weekly wrap-ups with the team or when we debrief, for example, podcast recordings. We ask ourselves what went well. And I'm certain that at the end of this day, when we do the debrief of these podcast recordings, we will say the set looked really nice. I'm certain one of the 2 people behind the camera is going to say that. The set looked really nice. And you might think or look back on your past year and you think, okay, what went well this year is I got uncomfortable. I started showing up. I started building up a reputation, or I created a new program that went well. But if I ask you what could have gone better, not what didn't go well, but what could have gone better, you might say, well, I could have gotten more sales. Or for me, for example, I could have gotten more passive sales. Like if I would answer these questions, I would say what went really well. Well, we had massive launches. We did really well in terms of sales. But what could have gone better is we could have gotten more passive sales. My third question for you is, what are you missing for future success? And for me, for example, if I look at those passive sales, if I want to make that a priority, I would be missing a plan to execute on that. But at the same time, in terms of content, what I would be missing is someone to help me out with video content all day long. I've been dreaming about doing Gary Vee style videos for years and years where someone's just like following me around all day long so I can just say quotes all day long. And I think that that would really help me to create content all the time and just put it out there, because I would like to document what I do, put that out there instead of always being in front of the camera, actually conscious of the camera being there in front of me and having to prep episodes. Now, that's just an example. For me, what am I missing for future success? At the time of these recordings, I am missing a personal assistant, but by the time this launches, actually, my personal assistant would have already started, because I just realized after moving in circles all the time that I was really missing a personal assistant. I just had to stop bullshitting myself that I could do it without, and I had to just like get over that barrier for myself and get myself a personal assistant. Now for you, what you are missing for future success could be knowledge, it could be skills, it could be a plan, it could be cash flow. It is just really important when you wrap up your year, you look at what went well, what could have gone better, and what am I missing for future success. So if you had set a target for yourself, then you can work backwards. Like, okay, so I did this and that to hit that target. That went really well, but I could have maybe like executed more on it and actually followed the plan I had set out to hit my targets. And what are you missing for future success? Maybe you are missing accountability, for example, or maybe you are missing a tool. We started building a CRM tool for ourselves in Team Fast Forward, but we knew that what we are missing, or what we were missing for future success, was actually a really decent CRM tool that combined all of the different systems we used for sales, because we knew that was going to help us out a ton, not just in launches, but also in those passive sales. So when I ask you these questions, a lot pops up probably. And you might not actually be answering the questions. You're like, yeah, Amy, I'll keep on listening, but spill the details. What about time management or whatever? But I'm going to be honest with you. If I ask you, why didn't you hit your goals this year? You're probably going to say, oh, I didn't have enough time. I wasn't focused enough. I didn't have the right resources and support. All of those things are possible. But it's also possible that you didn't hit your goals this year because you actually didn't set the right bet. And I want to explain to you what a bet is. It is not, as you would assume, this cookie in the shape of a bat that Robin on my team made. I do have to say, she told me, so she walked inside with these cookies, right? She's like, ha, I made bat cookies. And I think this one, like she decorated this one, and this one was decorated by her boyfriend. She was really quick to point that out so as not to underestimate her skills with the cookies. Also, she hates me right now. But I am holding a bat cookie. And a bat, if you didn't have a bat this year, it doesn't mean an actual bat like you see here on the cookie. No, what I mean by a bat is a big ass target. A big ass target is something that is really big, obviously, that requires you to be big and to stop playing small. That's the first definition. Big ass target also means that it needs to make you really uncomfortable, and that it needs to be, if you would set a goal right now for next year, by next year, end of December, it needs to be way out there. Remember that you can 10x your income in a year. You can 10x your savings in a year. Did I record an episode on that? Yeah. Oh, last week actually. Money habits, about 10xing your income and your savings. Definitely go and check that out. It's the first part of this end of year series. In a year's time, you can achieve so much, but where it goes wrong for most people is they never actually set the bet. And I hope by showing you the bet cookie, you will remember this is for the upcoming year, you need a big ass target for yourself. And that could mean in terms of revenue. You might set a goal for passive revenue. You might set a goal for amount of clients you want to reach. You might set a health goal or whatever. We're talking about that next week. But you need to look at what is your bet, because only then can you start working backwards in order to achieve that. So let's make an assumption. What would be a really great goal for someone in their business to set for the upcoming year? Team, what's a great goal?
Happy clients.
A ton of happy clients. 100 happy clients could be a goal, for example. Let's assume someone is launching a course, and they launch a course and it costs 500 euros, and they would like to have 30 clients a month, which would mean a daily sale. That would be a lot. That would mean 15,000 euros a month. Let's say on average 30 clients a month for that 500 euro course for 12 months straight, but in the beginning they're not going to hit the 30 clients, and after a while they might hit more because you want to increase it exponentially. But 30 clients every month on average times 12 months would be 360 clients. That's a big ass target, right? Okay. It could also be opening your store. Not just opening your store, because when you open your store, you want clients to walk in. Either way, you want to set a really big ass target for yourself. I personally am still, well, I'm probably going to listen to my own episode right now and think, what is my big ass target for the upcoming year? I have a lot of personal goals, but I do know I shouldn't just be like, ooh, hiding from my business. I also need business goals. Luckily, I have my team that keeps me accountable, but I also have to say that this is going to sound really weird, but I hit so many of my targets in the past couple of years that I really need to work on committing and believing like new targets. And for me, I really love numbers. So for me, it's always easiest to look at amount of clients I want to hit and not hit, you know what I mean, the target I want to hit, or amount of revenue or like passive revenue I want. But I get the most joy out of looking at clients or like subscriptions. I do like the side effect of the money that it brings in, but it's kind of like Richard Branson says, like, define your income goal, then work backwards and look at your client goal, and then focus on that, and then the end result will follow of the money. So I always suggest looking at amount of happy clients. So set a target of happy clients every month. Now, why do I call this a big ass target and not just a big ass goal? Is because I think goals and dreams are a little bit overused these days. Now, I actually sell a goal setting training on my website. You can go and check it out, by the way, on the shop. I love goal setting. I love everything about goal setting and visions and blah, blah, blah. But I was very conscious in defining this BAT term, not just because of the cookies, but also because I think a target means it's something you want to hit. When you are at a shooting range, for example, there will be a target, and you know that the goal is that you like pick up the gun. I've never done this, by the way, but you pick up the gun and you hit the target. When you are playing darts, or what is it called, you're supposed to actually hit the target in the middle. I think goals and everything have been so overused in today's day and age that we have kind of, that it has lost its effect. But when I tell you it's a target you want to hit, it might be more clear for you that it's actually that you're supposed to hit it. That's just what I want to say. That's why it's called a bet. Okay, so you need a really big goal, something that makes you uncomfortable, but that's also just doable enough. So our biggest launch of the Business Freedom Elevator had 375 clients in one launch. My target, I want to say goal, but I'm going to say target. My big ass targets for that, together with my team, is that we want to hit 1,000 clients in one launch of that program. Now, there's a reasoning behind it as well. We want to 3x that because it would mean that we aren't just doing a little bit better in how we're approaching things, but it would mean that we are creating new pathways in order to get leads in. Our lead generation is doing a lot better. We are running ads in, or just really reinventing a lot of things in order to hit that target. For my team, it's a really big challenge. For me, it's a really big challenge to really blast open a lot of doors and look at how can we go and achieve that big ass target. If we wouldn't set that target, we would kind of like start assuming that what we do works really well and we would just keep on doing that. But the only truth in online marketing is that nothing will ever keep working. Like Instagram right now might still be working really well, but in the future it might just be TikTok that's working really well and Instagram might die. Email marketing works right now for our launches, but it might not work in the future. So it's really important for us to diversify the different ways we hit that target in a launch. And that's why for you, when you are setting your goal or your target for the upcoming year, I would suggest you choose one bet for your business and you make that wildly uncomfortable, but also something you are excited about still. It doesn't have to just purely terrify you, right? So it's that fine line between getting excited and being a little bit and being afraid, but not being paralyzed by fear, because we don't want that. We want you to move forward so you can go and hit your targets. Oh, and by the way, before we continue talking about those 1,000 students for the Business Freedom Elevator, if you want to be one of those students and if you want to be coached by me in the upcoming year, make sure you are registered on the waitlist of our 6-month business coaching program. You can find the waitlist through the description or just go through the link of this episode. But the link is fastforwardamy.com/elevator, and there you can go and register for the program because we have a special pre-order where we only allow 100 people to enter at a €500 discount and like get a bunch of really early bonuses. So make sure you get that early access through the waitlist. Okay, back to the bets. I'm assuming you have stopped me right now because you exited the episode, or you're sick of me, or you're thinking, Amy, when are you gonna drink from the glass of wine? I'm not. It's just here as a prop. It is actually 10 a.m. as I'm recording this episode, so I shall not be drinking from the glass. But now we gotta see, how are you gonna make that work this year? And we just did that exercise of what went well, what could have gone better, what are you missing for future success in terms of your goals in the past year and what you achieved. But let's do that and look at your time management. What went well this year? Your response might be, well, in terms of time management, Amy, well, I got a lot done. Nice. Maybe you took perfectly imperfect action. Is what I teach my clients, is just take massive action. Don't be too perfect. Just make sure it gets done. So you might be like, okay, what went well is I did get a lot done, or I got a lot done, although it might have been late at night, for example, or it might have been always a little bit too late when I finally got it done. Got a lot done late at night. And that kind of reminds me of when I was initially recording my podcast, for example. What went well is I was publishing my podcast every Tuesday morning. What could have gone better was me not recording every episode on every Monday afternoon and doing everything myself. What went well as a result was there, but in the process, I did have to admit that the way I was doing it wasn't really ideal. And you might be experiencing the same thing. You might be saying like, hey, Amy, you know what? In terms of time management, I get done what I need to get done. My clients are happy. Could have gone better is I could have not fucked up my marriage because I'm working so much, or something like that. Or I could have put my kids to bed more often, or I could have been kinder to my kids because I wasn't so stressed out. Or I could have had a higher sex drive because I wasn't so stressed out. I don't know, like what went well is you got everything done or not. Could have gone better is, not everything had to be so last minute. And if we then look at what are you missing for future success, I am assuming that you need some type of trust in yourself that you're gonna get the right stuff done at the right time. The right stuff done at the right time means that we need to look at your planning. Whenever I do this exercise with like my entire team, let's say there's 6 people in a call or in a meeting, half of the people will be like, okay, what am I missing for future success? A planning, something like that. And I think this is the perfect time to create a plan for your upcoming year. It's the perfect time to look at your ideal week, for example, and to look at when do you have your most energetic time of day, when is the lowest time of day for you. And for me personally, if I would look at this exercise, if I would say, well, what went well is I got a shit ton of stuff done, like so much in both of my businesses and just like my life in general. What could have gone better is I could have worked less, but what could have gone better is I could have also spent less time online on useless stuff because it's the end of the year. Do I want to know how much time I spent scrolling on Instagram? If I spent half an hour scrolling on Instagram in the morning or at night on the couch, that's an hour a day. And I don't think it's weird to assume some of us do that, just scrolling. Do we, guys? Yeah. Half an hour. Bit more, maybe. That's what I'm hearing from the crew. Yeah. I feel like in this Christmas episode, they should all be with me here, but they don't want to, so it's just me. Okay, so what could have gone better is I could have not spent an hour a day or more, if we're being honest, scrolling. Or scrolling when I'm sitting on the toilet, because it's supposed to be a break, also a mental break, but we humans aren't capable of mental breaks anymore. We're just online all the fucking time. What am I missing for future success? I think I'm missing like the type of day with my new life of like having team members and running my household and taking care of my health and prioritizing my body and all of that. I could really do with like a new structure of a day that really works for me instead of me working for it. I would love to run the day instead of the day just running me. And I think I need easy mornings if I look at that. I really need these type of mornings where I'm not on my phone, I'm not always on, I'm super chill. I might need a tea kettle in my bedroom actually, so I can have a cup of tea in my bedroom instead of just chugging 3 mugs of coffee in the morning downstairs. What is going well in my mornings, I do hug my cat Billy, so that definitely doesn't have to go any better because there are so many hugs already. I feel like Billy should be in this episode, but yeah, maybe we can call him later and he can come and show up at the end of this episode. Christmas cat. Can we tie him, like, can we give him a bow or something? Or lights. Okay, so I'm fairly certain you will respond with, I could have not spent an hour a day scrolling, because let's just do this exercise. Let's assume half an hour in the morning of scrolling on Instagram, half an hour at night, or TikTok. Well, let's assume you're hip. So that's 60 minutes every day, 30 minutes every 30 days a month, 12 months a year. You have just spent 21,600 hours scrolling. The amount of hours is 360 hours. That reminds me of something. Didn't we just talk about the example of getting one client every day, and doing that every month would mean 360 clients? What if that hour of scrolling every day, exactly that hour, was spent on getting one client? That could probably change the game. So we could trade. But we don't just have 1 hour available to get that client, get that sale. We have another hour available. Because how do we start our mornings? Well, this is something I don't do, but whatever, you might do it. We respond to messages, emails, all the things. No one gets anything done before 12 p.m. Let's be honest. You don't get anything done before 12 p.m. You respond to texts, messages, emails, phone calls, all of the busy stuff. By the time noon rolls around, you are so frazzled, you forget to eat lunch, or you eat lunch and you just inhale your food because you're already so overwhelmed. And by the end of the day, no way are you focused on doing the proactive stuff. So what if we would take that half hour of scrolling in the morning and at night, and we take that hour of answering messages and emails, and we assume that happens between 9 and 11 in the morning. Just like put it there. And we decide from now on, between 9 and 11 in the morning, we're going to work proactively on our business. Wow. What could that mean for you if you would spend 2 hours every day working on your business and pushing the things forward that need to happen? What if you spent 2 hours a day working on your bet, on your big ass target? I'm seeing our videographer be like, yeah, I need to do that. He's sitting there like, You need to plan your priorities. And the reason it's so difficult for us often to plan in our priorities, for me too, by the way, because I have been going through these things these past couple of weeks, like, oh my God, I want to create more, I want to make more stuff, but I'm stuck in meetings and blah, blah, blah. It's because my calendar just gets planned full, and my own priorities, be that for myself or for my business, they just have no space to go because the calendar gets made before I get to make it. The week runs me instead of me running the week. And we want you to run your week. And that means we need to use our PIP principle. And I need to say it like that. It's not PIP principle, it's PIP principle. Plan your priorities. So if I want to create more, and I am convinced that is going to move the needle for me, my business, I need to put that on my Monday mornings. If I know that what gives me energy is being by myself and not in meetings, I need to keep my mornings meeting free. But I'm good at making decisions. So maybe my team and I can come to this deal where they present me with a lot of like proposals and easy decisions, and I can always promise them I'll check in at noon to respond to questions or something. And then in the afternoon I'll do meetings. I know there's so much possibilities there, but I know if I get a couple of hours to myself in the morning, I will thrive the rest of the day because I love people, but I also love time with myself. And I know when I have that time with myself, ideas start coming up, I get to be strategic, and I get to unfold ways to hit my bet. I get to 3x in my head if I have the time to think about strategic and creative stuff. And you might be different. You might say, Amy, no, I'm not a morning person. Like I did a poll on my Instagram. Not everyone is a morning person. You might be saying, Amy, I'm an evening person. Everyone just needs to fuck off in the evening. It's also fine. What a Christmassy episode with all of this swearing. By the way, for the record, I don't feel like anyone bothers me or anything is too much for me. I just feel like I am too much for me sometimes. And I do this to myself, just like you do this to yourself. You create your own calendar, and it might be because you're still working for someone else. That's also your decision. It's your decision to not spend those evenings or early mornings on your business, but you could. What I'm saying is, it is not that difficult to find an extra hour a day to work on your business. And the busy moms are going to hate me for this. And I do have to say to all of the moms, you're right. For you, it's really, really not easy. But for many of us who just spend a lot of time scrolling on Instagram, it is easier than we think to just push it in. And it might be waking up an hour earlier and stopping work sooner because we get less distracted during the day. It is possible to find an hour a day. An hour a day is only 4% of your day. That 4% of your day can be found, right? So a couple of things that help for me to plan my priorities is that I need to turn off my phone. I wish I was that person who was like unbothered by her phone, but I need to turn off my phone, put it somewhere in my house, go to a different room on the other side of the house, and then just work. And I cannot have my email and my Slack channels open because then I will not get any work done. But when I do have that time, I'm always surprised at how much I can get done in very little time. Because I then realize like, oh, I want to look this up, or oh, I'll make this story, or oh, like I've just noticed that we are very addicted to our phone, and the amount of times we want to grab it as we're doing something is surreal. I feel like we should all just go back to school where we're not allowed to have a phone, I think. Sometimes I see my team at the office and I'm like, oh, they're really good at this, at not being on their phone. I'm really bad at this. Yeah, you can get a lot done if you just don't have your phone with me. So put the fucking phone down is my first tip for your time management for the upcoming year. And if you are saying to me in a coaching call, Amy, I just can't get it done, I just can't find the time, and I look at your screen time and I see that you're spending more than an hour a day on Instagram, we cannot have a conversation. Or if you tell me, oh, my sleep is so bad, I'm not rested, well, and you're on your phone after 7 p.m. at night, then you also can't say anything about it. You should just put your phone down. It's just really, really bad for you. And the second thing for me is, if it's not in my calendar, it does not exist, unfortunately. If I don't put things in my calendar that I need to do, they will not exist. But that also means if I don't plan my priorities in my calendar, they will get overruled by other things. So my mornings that I want to keep to myself, I need to plan those in my calendar. Because otherwise it's not going to happen, and I'm always going to be planning in webinars and meetings and other stuff in those mornings. And maybe I should start slimming down my meetings in the afternoons instead of just putting extra blocks of meetings in my mornings. There are always options. That's my third thing, is you always have other options. That's a YAHOO principle I learned from Georgie Fear from One by One Nutrition a few years ago. Is YAHOO means you always have other options. You might have created a business or a lifestyle for yourself, maybe a little bit like me, where you started something and then you added things on top of it, and it got really, really complicated. Sometimes you need to start over with a blank slate. It's like how you create your dream week in my Business Freedom Elevator program. I think it's in module 1 that we do that. You got to start with a blank slate, and you got to revisit, what do I need? And what is like redundant? Something we're going to talk about in 2 weeks, by the way, when we look at the business habits. So you always have other options. You are not stuck in your calendar right now. You are not stuck in your way of doing things right now. You can get 360 clients in the upcoming year if you want to. So fourth up, my tip is touch it once. And this is, it's a time management productivity tip, but it's like a double-edged sword. What do I mean with touching it once is, when you take a plate and you bring it to the dishwasher and you put it on top of the dishwasher instead of putting it in there, you didn't touch it once, you touched it twice. You put it on top of the dishwasher and afterwards you need to put it in there. That's touching it twice. Having your email open, reading an email or a text, reading it, closing it again and having to respond to it later, that's also touching it twice. The one side of the sword I want to tell you is, if you're doing it, might as well respond to it. But what most of us need to do is, we need to make sure that we don't see the email when we can't respond to it. We don't see the text messages when we're not ready for it. I can't tell you the amount of times that I have like been in a Zoom meeting, grabbed my phone, opened up my messages, my WhatsApp and my Instagram just from habit. And I don't do that a lot during meetings, but it still happens. It's not going to happen now anymore. And then I see a text message that is like a question and I get triggered. I'm also very highly sensitive, so I get triggered. It feels like there's so much coming at me. I'm so overstimulated. All day long I'm doing all of these different things, but guess what? I'm doing that to myself. So I need to make sure I set myself up in a position where I can touch it once. And that means when I need to make decisions, I need to just be able to make them. When I am in communication mode, I need to make sure I can actually reply to what people need. But I shouldn't be doing all of the different things at the same time. Which brings me to number 5 here, is do one thing at a time. That goes both for your business, your core offer. Focus on one core offer at a time. Either be in creation mode, or be in decision mode, or be in delegation mode, or in meeting mode. But don't do all the different things at the same time. It's the same as in meetings. A lot of people run meetings and you're like, blah, 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 blah. But you could be like, okay, this is the calendar, like what we're going to go through today. These are the actionable steps that are going to follow from it. But brainstorming and decision making and doing practical stuff and all the different things at once, it's very rare that works for people, because some people are really good at decision making. Some people are really good at being creative, but they might not be good at it at the same time. I'm a very creative person who's also very result oriented. But it's very difficult for me to be creative when I'm really focused on targets and results, which is probably why it was really hard for me to be creative in the past year. Because I was so focused on the targets. That means if I want to create space to be creative, I gotta not do that at the same time as me having to hit results or me having to be the boss of my team. I gotta be in a different mode, right? So number 5 was do one thing at the same time. And if you are working on hitting your bat every day for an hour or 2 hours, I think you're going to get there. But that means that you really need to make that a non-negotiable. It might be at the beginning of your day, it might be midday, it might be at night, it might be at the end of your workday, after your full-time business if you're still on a side hustle. But you are going to have to prioritize it. Most people don't prioritize it though, because they never chose a bat. So they don't have any bat time in their calendar. Oh my God, we're going to create an emoji of a bat and create like a symbol and put that in people's calendar, and we're going to make this bat time. Not bath time. That's also nice. We need bat time to fly. Okay, so do one thing at the same time. And if we look at all of those things, and I've created a bunch of episodes on time management and productivity, I can keep going. I can be like, you need the BIP principle, you need the CBA principle, which is literally, I think, episodes 3 or 4 of my podcast is about the CBA principle. It's about catching all of your tasks in one spot, batching what you do, and blah, blah, blah. But right now, what you need to do for yourself is you need to define 3 non-negotiables for yourself for your time management for the upcoming year. And I am overwhelmed just by saying this, because I'm like, holy shit, I need to do this too. And my non-negotiable used to be no meetings or interviews with Amy before noon. And there used to be non-negotiable for me, no one gets Amy's phone number. Those worked really well for me. A non-negotiable could be no notifications from nothing. I now have notifications on from my sales. Maybe it's not good for me to have the sales notifications on. I don't know. No phone after 8 p.m. That could be non-negotiable. What are your 3 non-negotiables that are going to move the needle forward? I think I need to stop bullshitting myself, and I need to implement bedtime in my mornings. I think you probably need to do that too. So, what are your 3 non-negotiables for the upcoming year? You have a few here. You can look at your phone behavior. You can look at sleeping more. You can do whatever you want. But the big gist of this is look at your big ass target for the upcoming year and work backwards and look at all of your habits. Which productivity habits are going to get you closer to the bat? Okay, if I want to hit my bat of 1,000 clients, it means I got to get creative. If I want to be creative, I got to not be a zombie. And that means I need a lot of sleep. I know from experience, sleep is a really big one for me. So I need to make sure I'm focused on good sleep. Sleeping 8 hours a night is going to be really important for me. If I want to sleep 8 hours a night so I can hit my bat because I'm in prime Amy state, it means I need to take my supplements. So I'm going to make sure Every Monday morning, I plan in my calendar that I fill my supplements box and I get it ready for the week. That's a smaller habit that's going to lead to my big target. The smaller habit is going to lead to the sleeping habit. Habits and like the process and outcome, sometimes it's just a matter of skill. Because I can't actually control how much I'm sleeping, but I can control what time I go to bed, what time my alarm clock goes off, and if I'm taking my supplements or not. Or if I'm drinking coffee past 1 p.m. or not. So you can define some smaller health goals, productivity goals that are going to help you hit your bat. And right now, I'm asking you, if you want to hit that bat, what are 3 things you're going to have to do to hit that? I think for me, it's going to be 8 hours of sleep. Already, that's also already an outcome goal, but that's fine for me. 8 hours of sleep a night. I'm going to be so much happier. I just had a week, unfortunately, where I didn't sleep a lot, and the difference in mood and irritability and things just huge. I get really annoyed when I hear people eat, and to my big shame, this weekend I was sitting with my mom in the kitchen, and we're actually trying to book a vacation, and she was eating, and I had to tell my own mom, I'm like, I'm really sorry, but I really can't handle hearing you eat right now because I was so overstimulated. It's bad when your mom goes to your living room to eat and you can't sit at the same table with her because you're so tired. I was so tired. Okay, 8 hours of sleep a night. What else do I need to hit my bat, guys? Morning creative time, strategy time, no meetings. What do I need? Production time. Ooh, production time. I used to think I needed strategy time, but I think I've got strategy covered. I need creation time. Creation time, production time, all of that. How much do I need?
At least half a day every week.
At least half a day every week. But Grant Cardone says in his 10X book, when you think you need something to hit something, you're going to need 10 times as much as you think you need it. You think you need 1 phone call to close a deal, you're going to need 10 phone calls. So I could create a lot of reels in 1 hour a week. Let's make it 10 hours a week. I can create a lot of content in 10 hours a week. What if I would hack myself and give myself 10 hours a week of content creation? Sounds really batshit crazy, but right now, how much do I have? 0. 0-ish, aside from podcast recording days. Okay, 10 hours a week. Oh, 10 hours of creation time every week. I already hate this exercise. Okay. One more thing. I need to hit my bat. 1,000 BFE clients. I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep. 10 hours of creation per week. What else?
Less time to work.
I need to work less. Holy shit. Work less. How much less? A lot less. I need to stop work every day at a set time. 6 p.m. I stop work. That means no webinars, no calls, no meetings, no nothing, no lives after 6 p.m. No messages. Maybe I should have like an emergency landline in my house and that's it. I am not available after 6 p.m. And now I need a videographer to record me doing all of this to show you a testimonial of how this went. 6 p.m. stop work. Can I do that? I used to do it before COVID. I did that. It just fucked up my schedule a lot. And then also I didn't have a team back then. So 6 p.m. stop work. I can easily do that. Okay, so I need to plan in my calendar my sleeping time. It's like I'm a baby. But guess what? Humans are just large babies. We need to treat ourselves like babies. Oh, there's so many good things we can cut out of this episode. 10 hours of creation time per week. I'm going to plan that in. And I stop work at 6 p.m., which means I do my last check-in at 5:30, which is like I've already implemented that in my calendar. Okay. Cool. these are really good success habits. And what do you know? Success habits is kind of the theme of these end of year episodes. I don't know if you hated or loved this episode, but if you want to work on your own success habits together with me as we're looking at like your health goals, your money habits, your time management habits, and all of that, I have fantastic news for you because we created an end of year success habits workbook for you. That's going to help you achieve anything you want. It's going to help you get anything you want. And it's going to help you basically get a lot of shit done in the upcoming year, so that you can actually like print it out, work on it in these last few weeks of the year, and so you can define your own non-negotiables, your own golden guidelines for your time management, and I can't wait to see you work on it. So go to fastforwardamy.com/success habits to grab your workbook, print it out, and tag me on Instagram as you're working on it through Christmas time. And let's recap today. We did a lot of wrapping up your year, looking at what went well, what could have gone better, and what are you missing for future success. And that is basically something you can do every day, every week, every quarter. You can do it for your health, for your time management. It doesn't really matter as long as you always keep being focused on optimizing. I know it's not sexy. It's way sexier to be like, I'm going to do something else, or I'm going to get into a new program. Obviously, get into the Business Freedom Elevator, but it's like a relationship. You're not like when you hit a small bump in the road or your sex life gets a little bit boring, you don't just break up with that person. You don't just get divorced. You work on your relationship. You work on your sex life. You go do a boudoir shoot. You go and buy some sexy lingerie. I don't know what you do to get that sex drive back, but you work on it, right? You don't just give up. I mean, I hope you don't, because sex is really nice and it's important. So with your business and your goals, it's just the same. It's not because it's not working or you didn't hit them or it's like a little bit low right now that it's not possible. You just need to make sure you're optimizing, you're working on it, and then it's going to be fine. You're going to hit it. So I would say start optimizing away for the new year. Go and grab your Success Habits workbook and see you next week in the next episode about your health targets and resolutions for the new year. Have a happy day and follow me on Instagram, please. If you haven't, I'm FastForwardAmy. Bye. Merry Christmas. Shit. Merry Christmas.